All right, so I'm Sheryl. I've been a realtor for almost 2 years. So still kind of new to the industry, but learning fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'd say, and
Yeah.
busy.
I'm busy. Yeah,
Yes.
so that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also,
You know everything.
too.
Yeah, mom of two, keeping me busy with their extracurricular activities and actually 3 kids maybe, if you include my husband.
They count, yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's all about time management and just having a good balance between work and personal life.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
that's very important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm Cam Hill. I've been in real estate for 7 years. Jumped around from different teams, learning from the best. And I'm part of the best team here,
Woo!
in my opinion. Yeah, I love being in real estate and doing anything else. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Great.
I'm Nicole Junker. I have been a licensed agent for 11 years. I've been in the industry for almost 20. I was in mortgage and then actually started as Steve's assistant when I came to the real estate side. So I think I learned fast. So super fortunate to have that opportunity.
You'll see a lot.
Yeah.
I have seen a lot. Seen a lot of market change. I've seen, like when I got into the business with heavy, hardcore, short sale REO.
Mhm.
So it was different for sure. Yeah. But same kind of as Cam, like I don't see myself ever doing it.
Awesome. And Tony on Zoom.
What's up, guys? I've been doing it 6 years now. It'll be 6 years this September. Was part of a smaller team before joining Parker, and yeah, it's been a pretty good couple years for me. Year and a half.
Awesome.
So
Great. Well, I just have a few prompt questions. Obviously, as we go along, if you have questions, just blurt them out and let's get them answered too. So I'd like to start by, what do you guys feel like you've mastered in the listing process? And why do you think that's giving you such success in becoming a top listing agent?
I don't know that I can say that I've really mastered anything. I think that I'm always learning and trying to refine what I do. And I think that's part of why I'm good at what I do, because I think I'm just always learning and growing and changing. There are things that I have focused on that I think I do really well. Like I think the initial phone conversation and how you prep for the appointment is extremely important. So I spend more time on the phone with people up front, getting to know them, asking them questions about their house, finding out truly what their wants and needs are, and finding out what's important to them and the agent that they choose. Like, I'm not afraid to ask the question that a lot of agents aren't asking. Like, what do you want in a realtor that you work with?
Yeah. What other questions do you feel like you ask in that like phone call that people are scared to ask, or that maybe your clients haven't heard before from an agent?
I mean, what do you think your house is worth?
Yep.
Because then you know what their expectations are, and be able to either meet their expectations or show them why their expectations aren't realistic is super important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm not afraid to walk away from a listing. Like if their expectations don't match what I know is reality, I'm not afraid to walk away. Or if the personality, like if I leave them an appointment, and I'm like, oh, that person would be a complete nightmare to work with, I'll walk away from it.
Yeah. Great. Justin, did you have a question on that?
Yeah, what do you say if they go, well, you're the expert, that's why I called you here?
I'll bring my opinion to you. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Because I'm confident enough in my skills to do a CMA that I don't mind giving them my opinion. For sure.
Great.
I agree. I think you have to be upfront with them and they need to know what to expect along the way. Need to know their personalities match exactly. I find when I go in there, I like to read them. I want to know, like, are we on the same level in terms of what your expectations are, what I'm gonna tell you? If I sense that we're gonna be clashing in some sort, I'll be upfront. I'll tell them. I don't want to work with somebody who's not gonna enjoy working with me. It's a big decision to sell your home, to purchase a home, and you want to be comfortable with the person that you're working with and be able to trust them. So that to me is like number one. And I always kind of mirror them in the same sense too. So depending on their motivation, I had a seller who lived in her home for over 30 years, and of course she wanted, the most money for her house, but she was also very emotionally attached to the property. So you have to be sensitive to that as well. And she interviewed other agents, but she did go with me because we kind of connected in that sense. I understood and had empathy to what she was going through. She was widowed and, so that's important. Just having that special connection with them.
Tony, you have anything to add into that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll echo Nicole there. I mean, I don't think there's anything, you can't really master everything because every situation's so different. So you have to be able to read read the sellers, react accordingly. But if there was one thing that I feel like I have mastered, it would be pulling comps in the area, justifying my price. And it's always, it seems to click with a seller more if you can say, hey, I think your home is worth this, and here's why. If you want to list your home $20,000 above, that's great. We can scratch that itch. Let's do it. But here's why I think that's a bad idea. I'm a big fan of them driving the bus. It's their decision. It's their house. It's their money. But I'm just there to give opinions. And this is how I would do it. And when you back that up with evidence and stats and just good old common sense, it tends to click well with people. And when you're not afraid to voice your opinion because you are supposed to be the expert, it can go a long ways. That was one thing I struggled with for a long time.
Tony, when you have a client that wants to list $20,000 over, what does that conversation look like in regards to setting expectations with them for what's to come? If it doesn't sell, or if you don't get showings, what does that look like?
Well, I always ask the reason why they want to list 20,000 above, because I'm coming into that listing appointment, or I've sent my CMA previously and I've sent 5, 6, 7 properties. And I always make sure I'm pulling the same style of home, similar square footage, similar condition. So I can say, look, this home sold for $500,000. Why is your home worth $535,000? Did I miss something? You never want to assume that you know everything. So you want to say, did I miss something? Is there some value here that I had overlooked or that, we didn't go over? And if they simply say, no, I want to list it at this price point, I say, that's fine. Let's do it for a week. And if we don't get the activity we want, if we don't get the showings we want, then we have to have a game plan to drop the price. And if they don't want to do that, then Nicole, you're right. Sometimes you just got to walk away, because you don't want a listing under your name sitting for months and months and months. It makes you look bad.
Great. Do you guys have any other scripts that you use with clients that want to list over market value and setting that expectation?
Yeah, I think I do kind of similar to what Tony said. I do let them drive the price to a point, like if it's within a range, right? Like what's that percentage range? Depends on the price of the house. So if it's within 2, maybe 3% of where it's probably going to sell, it might work. It depends on the overall market conditions too, right? Like 4 months ago, I would have said, yeah, let's do it. Today, totally different, right? Like I have a listing that's now on the market going on week 3, and I'm just pissed Because it's not selling and I know it's overpriced.
Right.
And the seller is digging in their heels. So sometimes it's like, all right, I'll just let it sit there, like, they don't care, why do I care?
Right.
Like,
You talked about price reduction.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
They're just not willing to
She
budge.
just won't budge.
Yeah, I don't throw a lot of scripts at them when we have to put that on the top. Listing a house $20,000 over, whatever that number may be, but at the end of the day, they're in the driver's seat. And all you can do is give them the data, and that's what you can go off of. I think one of the things that I've been able to master is just relationships. So when I go into a listing appointment, I do what Tony said is I get a good framework for what the house should sell for, but I can't really identify that final number or range until I see the house. But I try to make it a point to not talk about real estate when in that first meeting, because I want to get people. I really do believe in relationships. I'm relationship driven in everything that I do. So that way, when I do actually talk about real estate, should they approach it, when I'm reading the room and I'm saying, hey, like, let's start talking about things. Everything that we had mentioned, I know that I have some trust established. So that way there's not so much of a wall been built up prior to me coming over. And like, oh, I don't know if I trust him. And so they can at least trust me by the end of that meeting, just by the data and maybe bringing them. So,
Yeah, like when I get to the house, I don't talk about real estate right away.
for sure.
Like we go on a tour of the house, but I'm noticing like personal things that they have, like, oh, tell me about your kids, or looks like you're an empty nester, like, tell me about your family, things like that, right? And try to find that thing that helps you really connect with them. So if you see, something in the house and you have that common interest, talk about that. Because that's like building rapport and establishing trust.
Absolutely. So another question I have. When competing for a listing, when you guys know you're competing against other agents, what do you feel that you guys do that's different, that can earn business? Or that sets yourself apart, that you're getting that call back and you're signing those documents?
I bring documents with me.
Do you?
I do,
Yeah,
I
I
love
do.
that. Okay.
Yeah,
I
every
do.
single time.
I mean, I have that initial conversation with them over the phone, just
Yeah.
a little, getting to know them a little bit, but I don't dive deep into like their personal, until I get there in person. It's nice to have the face to face.
Yeah.
And then start building trust that way. And you can always sense if they're ready to sign or not, if they're on the fence, but as long as you have that paperwork, it's there in your bag. I don't bust it out right away as soon as we hit the table. It stays in my bag until I kind of know, all right, this is a good time to,
You're giving like a lot of agreement throughout
Yeah.
the conversation. You feel like the rapport is really good. Ask them like, are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would just let them know, like, whenever you're ready to do it, I'm here, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready now, right? But if you're not ready, let's say for another week or two, that's okay too. Just kind of let them know, like, whenever they decide they're in the driver's seat, you'll be with them along the way. So, and they want that guidance. They want to know that, you're there for them no matter what.
Mhm.
And I think communication is a big thing with me, with my clients. I feel that there are tons of agents out there that never pick up their phone, whether they're buyer side or listing side, and that annoys me.
Yeah.
And for people who are purchasing homes or selling their homes, they want to be sure that you're there, like at their beck and call in a sense.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that, 'cause I would want that. So you got to put yourself in their shoes a lot of the times. So I think that's important. It's making yourself available to them and letting them know that you're gonna be there no matter what. That will set you apart from other agents, I'm pretty sure. A lot of my clients, their reviews of me are always about communication. So, and I think that's most important.
Do you feel your approach changes at all when you're competing? Like how you're handling that appointment or questions that you're asking change at all? Yeah.
So when I'm on those appointments, as I mentioned, I'm more relational based or focused. If I feel like I'm, the meeting's not going well.
Yeah.
Or I am up against some competition, then the document, the one document I do bring to listing appointments is the agency disclosure. And I have a whole script that I use for lister, sellers as well as buyers.
Did Parker just maybe jump on Zoom? Give us 1 second, guys.
You feel like everyone up on the side though, that's weird.
Can you guys still hear us at home?
Yeah,
Okay. Did he jump on there, Hannah?
No one got on. I don't know if I-
Okay, I think we're back. Okay, we're still good. Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, Cam.
So the only document that I bring to listing appointments is agency disclosure. That's not to say that I don't have my computer ready to pull up to walk over documents with sellers if they have any specific questions. But I do tell them after our appointment, I will send you over everything electronically.
Mhm.
But the agency disclosure is something that I walk through buyers as well as sellers. And I have a whole script for that. And so if I'm up against competition, I feel like I need to pivot from just like focusing on the relationship, I have to pull that out and never get me. Have I, had this sellers cancel because of, we weren't just getting along or we weren't coming to an agreement after the fact? Yes. But, when it comes to those initial appointments, that's what I do to stand up.
Why do you feel like agency is the,
Talk about just different relationships. As in, like in real estate agent, you can provide to the customer.
Right.
So,
Why
Yeah,
do you
Steve.
think that, like? Feels your relationship, or how do you present it? Yeah.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
So so you have like buyer agent, seller agent, facilitator, all the things, and they talk about those fiduciary responsibilities. So when we start talking about those fiduciary responsibilities to buyers as well as sellers, they start flooding these questions about how the real estate market works, what you do as a realtor. And so you're educating them not just about the home buying process, but you're building trust in how you operate as a business in the business. So I don't know if that makes sense, but as you can imagine, if you read through the agency disclosure, there's a lot of jargon in there. And so to break that down and keep it simple so that they understand how you operate as a licensed real estate agent, as well as just like how you're going to help them in the process, that goes a long way.
yeah, absolutely. Steve,
So I've got a question for the three of you. How many people on the panel together? Is there more?
and Tony's on Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah,
So how many of you go on a one-step listing appointment where you try and close versus a two-step appointment where you try to close? What the question? Hold on. So first and foremost.
Tony, can you hear
one step-
Steve?
What, can you repeat
Yeah,
it?
kind of.
Okay,
One step or two steps. And if you go on two steps, or if you go on one step and you get shut down, do you try and find a way to get into a second step? So do you understand the question, kind of two parts?
Do you even want to back that up? Or some people might not even know that it's, one step.
Yeah, do you guys know?
Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't want to step in a two-step appointment. So one-step appointment would be go in, gather as much information, bring your listing contract with you and try to get it signed on the spot. The two-step is gonna be go in, look at the house. And then go back to your market valuation, make a second appointment. Make a second appointment before you leave the house that day. And then go back and present your market analysis. I think if it's like, say the house is like $1 million plus, right? And you have no idea what to expect, or what the house is gonna look like. I would do a two-step, but I would do probably an unintentional two-step. So I would go, do the appointment, do everything. We could talk a little bit about market analysis, but then I could say something like, okay, I really appreciate and value your time. I want to make sure that I have everything as perfect as possible. I need to do a little bit more research. When I come back on Thursday at 3:00 to present the market analysis to you. So that would be kind of the two-step, and then at that point, try to get the listing contract signed. The other thing is that they say, oh, I'm meeting with 3 other agents this week. Find out, okay, when's your last appointment? Can I come after that appointment to represent my market analysis? That kind of what you're thinking?
And or you walk in the house. It's not my show, but if you, it happened to me and I walked in the house. And the information that I had that I got from the house was from old MLS data and old and county information. They completely updated the house. Forgot to tell me about the master bathroom that just spent $50,000 in. And the swimming pool that you put in the backyard. That now changes everything. You walk in, you go, like, comparables are, they're not.
Totally off. Yeah. And it's, I'm like, I don't think it's a bad thing to say your house is way nicer than what I was expecting. Do you have a list of all the improvements that you've made and how much you spent on that? That will help you get a better market analysis put together for you. I think the biggest thing is to be authentic, right? Like, don't try to be somebody that you're not. Be as confident as you can be, but if you get stuck in a situation where you're unsure, just say like, hey, I'm unsure about this because of this. And most of the time people appreciate your honesty. And just say like, I'm not willing to shoot from the hip on a value for you when your house is worth $1.5 million. Right? Like, you're doing them a disservice. So if you tell them, I'm doing a disservice to you if I shoot from the hip on a value, I really need to do more work. I think they respect that.
Tony, do you have any feedback on the 1 or 2 step appointments? Or anything you do with that?
I've fallen back on the high note presentation. So I always write in my high note, I say this is an estimate of value. I give a range. And I say, if we're a team you want to work with, once I get through the home, we'll narrow that down together. We'll narrow a value down, a list price, the pros and cons of listing high, listing low, listing right at market value. There's pros and cons to each one. So my first step is the high note presentation, and then I take the in-person tour, if you will, as step 2. And it goes a lot smoother once you've sent that presentation, because a lot of that information, you don't have to go over a lot of that information in person with them. You can talk about other things and talk about strategy. You get a lot of that out of the way. People are busy. People have walls up now, I feel. So honesty is important. And, one thing I do to set myself apart is I fall back on the team. I mean, we're a team. We have off-market buyers, and when you present that, hey, we work with, just on our team, we have how many agents now? Close to 60?
Around there.
Right? I don't even know what the exact number is, but we're close to 60 agents who are all working with buyers. So if we can get that property sold off market, that's something that sets us apart from other agents. From an individual agent, they don't have that. And I'll flat out tell a seller, look, any agent can pull, comps for you. Any agent can put it on the MLS for you. That's not hard. But how do they set themselves apart? And I fall back on the team, and I fall back on our relationship with Zillow. Zillow is huge. Every seller believes Zillow is going to sell their house. So you must partner, you have to partner with them. Even if they don't really fully understand how it works on the back end, we are the number 2 team with Zillow, 1 or 2.
So, yeah.
So I fall back on that. I fall back in our relationship with Zillow, and it has clicked really well with sellers.
What does that dialogue look like with the seller when you're talking about Zillow? Like, what are you saying that you feel they're like, oh yeah, that's important?
I ask them where they go when they're looking for homes. What website do they use?
Awesome.
99% of them go Zillow. I go, great. Well, we're the largest team, or we're one of the largest teams that partners with Zillow. So we're going to push, I use this line. I don't know if it's true or not, but on one of my listings, you can go and you can find the data on your listings, and you can find out how many people have seen it and the favorites and all that stuff, right, across all the websites. And then it compares similar listings to yours. And my listing, it was in South Minneapolis, had like 4 times the amount of views and clicks that all the other similar listings have. So I just use that line and I say, look, on average, we're going to drive, 3 times the amount of viewership to your home. Right. So that's what I tell people. And it tends to work with sellers.
Awesome. Any questions so far? Anyone? Questions? Okay, good. Okay. Oh, Steve, yes.
Has anybody ever, on a 2-step appointment, has anybody ever used the seller disclosure of the closing piece? And you may not even know what I'm doing.
Can you elaborate?
Well, I personally do it. I don't know that I know that I'm intentionally doing it. Like I bring a hard copy of the seller's disclosure and just say, here, I'll need you to fill this out before we go live on the market. And then they go, oh, okay. And depending on their response to that, I know that I can ask for signatures on listing contract or not.
So when you're preparing for an appointment, are you sending an email with the disclosures ahead of time?
I
'Cause
print everything.
what if they printed those out and had them filled out when you showed up for the appointment? That'd be a pretty easy sign,
Yeah,
right? I mean, that's an important thing too, that you guys could do as your,
I think it depends on the
Pre-quality
age of
and-
the client. Like
Oh,
I
absolutely.
tend to have a lot of like older kind of senior sellers for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And maybe not as tech savvy, so that's why I bring papers with. Like, I think some of that can depend on the age of the client too, but I don't know, I think I have in the back of my head, like, I know that I've had the listing appointment, but I walk away without getting signatures. There's a chance for them to change their mind.
Right.
And there's a chance that they will talk to their cousin and their cousin says, oh no, you gotta talk to this realtor. And if it's 2 hours before I get signatures out to them, like, they could change their mind. And I'm not willing to take that risk. That's why I always bring papers with, and I get them signed if I feel like I can.
so do you guys at all go through the documents, have them sign them and keep them with the client and say, hey, sleep on it, I can come pick these up, but at least we've gone through them and you guys know what to expect?
If they say that they're not ready to sign them, I have done that,
Okay,
but, no, I mean, I get it signed if I can.
Can I just say just one thing about that?
let's hear it.
When I was a newer agent, I would try everything and anything to get them to sign. I knew when there was a pushback. And when I get people right on the edge where they're just about to sign and they said, there's 2 things that people did to me. They would say, we just want to sleep on it.
Right,
Say, I'd beat it back.
Yeah.
And they'd say, so the only thing holding us back, you really have to sleep on it. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, tell you what, you 2 take a nap for 3 hours and I'll be back. So either they laugh like that and they'd say, either, okay, which is rare. But they said, give it 24 hours. That was one. The other was, we want to pray on it. And they say, okay, let's all bow our head.
I think,
how are you guys handling that objection? Like, I just want to sleep on it, let's wait. You guys saying?
I haven't had that.
I haven't had
You
that.
haven't had that,
No.
Tony? Have you had that one?
I have, and I'm just a no pressure agent. I'm very laid back. If they want to work with me, great. If they don't, I'll move on to the next. I provide them with my best shot. I tell them why they should work with me and our team. I provide the value, but I'm not going to sit there and force anybody to sign a document, and I do this with buyers too. If it's their decision that they want to work with you, then you don't ever have to worry like, oh my gosh, is this person going to cancel on me? Are they going to be out with other agents? Are they going to do this? Are they going to do that? It was their decision to work with you. So therefore, I personally have more of a confidence level talking to them on the phone or going out and showing them houses. So I'm a very laid back, no pressure agent. I've gotten really good feedback on that. I've early on in my career, I feel like, you come off desperate for the business, you want it, pushy, all that stuff. And it really can turn buyers and sellers off, and they can go with somebody that's just doesn't pressure them into making decisions. So that's been my approach. And that's just the kind of person I am. So it's very easy for me to do that.
The other thing I've done is when somebody says, I just need to think about it a little bit, I go, okay, great. And then I'll just like completely change the conversation. Like I'll either start playing with their dog, or I'll start talking about, okay, tell me about your home search. What are you looking to purchase? And like I'll just keep talking, but I'll change the subject. And if the rapport continues to build, then like I had one lady go, okay, you have like we talked for another 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden she's like, okay, you have paper slip for me to sign. I was like, yeah, I do. Like, again, like just go back to the rapport part.
Awesome. So another objection that we're hearing is, can we do this for a lower commission? Why shouldn't I just go with the discount brokerage? How are you guys handling that conversation?
I think you just have to go into the appointment confident and show them your worth. I mean, I'm not gonna slap with somebody at like 4%, you
Right.
know, I mean, a lot of sellers might think like, oh, it's just putting my home on the market and having buyers come in. It's not that easy. I mean, you're dealing with contracts, you're dealing with other agents, lenders, appraisers and all that. So you have to just kind of explain all the work that goes into it. And they can say, well, this one sold on the weekend, and they think like the job is over once they get an offer. It's not like that's basically
Like,
where it
that's
starts.
the easy part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's where you have to just really showcase your work, bring in your expertise and your experience, and tell them about your previous transactions, how many you've done in the past, so that they know that this isn't your first one, or even if it is, then you fake it till you make it. I don't know, right? Go in with another agent. Go on listing appointments with another agent, see how they handle it, and then you kind of work that into, how you deal with your own appointments. I think that's important. It's nice that we're on a team and that we can all work together, share our experiences and knowledge, and that just makes you a stronger agent at the end of the day.
So I intentionally leave my phone. I don't know if you guys have noticed how many times I pull my phone out, but I intentionally leave my phone on the table when talking to sellers. So when that conversation doesn't broach, they want a discount commission, I ask them, would you like your phone to blow up 24/7, like it has been in that time that we've been talking? If they don't, then the answer is no. They do, go work with someone else, because you're otherwise going to be taking those calls. You're going to be getting calls from the lenders, you're going to be getting calls from all the people who are involved in the process. So it will be your job, and that's what I'm hired to do. So you want to hire me to do that, and that's how why you want to hire me. Because of our market exposure, 20 cases, a little bit on that in terms of like our network. I think our network is a huge piece of not just PFP, but Emerson Homes as well, like our partnership with Philip. And as well, it's just like your net, your personal one, is huge because it allows you to sell to your the sellers your ability to sell a house off market. I have a little tagline where I tell sellers, like, I can't sell your house off market. I had no business listing your house on the market because of our network, our ability to push your house in front of as many people as possible. So by that point, there's sold.
Nicole, do you have anything with the lower commission that you're using to handle?
Not really. I mean, it kind of goes back to a combination of what all these guys have said, like, I use our team, our systems, our network, I use all that stuff to add value. It's all about value and perceived value.
I guess you could ask them, and like, well, what part of my job do you not want me to do? Do you want me to take a
Yeah.
haircut?
I've done that
Right.
too, yeah.
Holly, I think we're gonna have a whole panel on that one topic in particular.
Yeah.
because Parker, that's, he and I talked about it the other day.
Yeah.
I think we need to, so, I mean, that, it's probably, there's gonna be another follow-up. to
Yeah.
That,
Great.
but it'll be a panel.
Perfect. That's awesome. What other questions? What questions do you guys have? What objections have you run into at your listings? Go ahead, Justin.
What are you doing to get this?
Ooh,
Most of mine are referrals and network.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think. Nicole, I've only been in the business for 6 years, 11, 7, so I think I got started, I just was at every open house, every single. week.
Yeah,
And so you mentioned referral, that's where you're gonna start to get those listings, through referral, and the longer you're in business. But the
fear,
more that you can do and get yourself out there,
Yeah.
the better.
can't be a secret agent,
mhm.
like, you have to get yourself out there.
In commercial, they say, like, you need to pound the phone all day long, and find those listings. I think it's the same for residential, you can call people all day long. You call 100 people, you might get 5 people, you can get one listing out of those 5 people that you make contact with, awesome, that's your, you now have added someone to your referral database.
Any other questions? Any other objections that you guys are hearing when you're at a listing appointment? That we didn't cover?
What length of time? What do you typically take for a length of time?
Like a signed
Yeah,
contract?
so over the last year and a half, I've just some 6-month contracts. Some of it depends on how quickly I think the house can actually get on the market, how much work they have to do. But the last thing I want to do is have to ask for a contract extension. So, yeah. I'm good now that the market's maybe shifting a little and it kind of depends on the house itself. I'm going back to a year. I used to do nothing less than a year. So. To me, it's just like,
I always do 6.
I do a year,
You do a year.
I do a year for buyers and sellers.
Tony, what do you do?
What was the question?
How long is the length of your listing contracts?
Both of mine are 6 months. And I mean, I have a condo downtown right now. I've been trying to sell since January, but I was upfront with them. I just said it's going to be a long process. There's 9 other units that are just like yours in the building. So I do 6 months. I feel like that's industry standard. That's just what I was taught when I was coming up. So 6 months for both.
So Angie has a question in here. I recently had a listing appointment scheduled for 5 p.m. on a Monday. When I arrived, the seller told me his old agent was gonna meet there at the same time. I felt so rushed and felt like I couldn't get to know him well enough to make it count because I knew the other agent was on his way. Has anyone ever run into this situation? How would you guys handle that?
I would reschedule.
Yeah.
I have not run into it,
Yeah.
but I would I would fall back on, to respect your time, their time, and to do this initial meeting the correct way. Let's reschedule.
So the only thing that made me hesitate with rescheduling is the appointment was in Stillwater and I just drove there in rush hour and it took me like 50 minutes to get there. And I just knew his agent was coming right after me or at the same time as me. So I just felt like I had to just get it done. But I did follow up with him the next day because I ended up finishing before his other agent got there. And I just was like, well, I'll get out of your hair since he's coming. And he told me that he rescheduled for the following Monday. So I didn't even need to rush at all. It was just a bummer, but he still hasn't made a decision yet. So I guess I'm still in the running.
Well, a power move you could have done is sat there with that other agent and interviewed that other agent. I had it where a seller, said they were gonna interview multiple agents after I had already sat down with them. And I said, fantastic, explore all your options. And I actually gave them a list of questions to ask those other agents. What is that other agent's marketing budget? What is their networking? How many off-market properties have they sold? Ask these questions to these other agents to see what they say. I mean, what's our marketing budget? 25, 30 grand a month? Or it was, I don't know what it is now, but we were, that's what Parker told me. Parker told me it's spending like 20, 25 grand a month. That could be wrong. I don't know. What the heck? Anyways, ask them what their marketing strategy is. Where are they at with Zillow? Do they partner with, just all these questions that they should ask these other agents that that you're one of the top teams in the area. So that those other agents are going to be able to answer the questions like you will.
I love that.
Is there maybe something that our marketing team could put together with some numbers and stuff like that for us? So we can add it to our lineup maybe?
How much fun would that have been to have benefit at this point? And say, you know what, this would be great. The agent and I could interview each other too at the same time. We could get questions and answers.
Angie, you could have just said, why don't we just call the other agent and ask him to reschedule? As long as I'm here.
I should have.
Script that we've used before where they're like, yeah, we have other appointments.
I work with all the best agents in the area. Who you working with? Or who are you going to be meeting with? And then whoever the answer, you say, oh, never heard of them.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
The other thing you can do is you can pull them up on the MLS and look at their last 2 years of transaction history and say,
Yeah,
well,
be
this
careful.
agent's done,
Yeah, okay,
18
so
homes.
I have to caution you with that. I got an ethics complaint filed against me for doing that. So be very, very careful. You're doing that.
Well, you can leave it, people invite you.
No.
You can't jump on negatively about any other realtor.
Yeah.
That's just going up the deed.
Right, I know,
Right. And that's all of that data. But we got an ethics complaint filed against us.
Did anything happen from that ethics complaint?
I had to take an ethics class and I had to write an apology, but I did not apologize. I apologize for the miscommunication.
Why do they have that feature in the MLS then?
What?
Why do they have that feature in the MLS then?
And I got the information out of HomeSnap. Like, isn't that public information?
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Also, like, if they have more sales, they all know it, yeah.
Did you get the listing?
no,
I didn't think so.
nor did I want. It was
Okay.
actually a past client of mine. Complete nightmare.
Last question I have.
Okay.
What is a nugget of advice you guys would give to newer agent going on a listing or someone who's only done 1 or 2 listings? What is your top nugget go get them advice?
Take a senior person with you.
Yeah, exactly. That would be mine.
Yeah.
Like I said before, take somebody with you or go on a listing appointment with a senior agent and see how they work, see how they speak to the clients, gain your experience there, see how they walk through the property, and then you do that when you go on, or have somebody come with you. Yeah. Have them check your CMAs too, right? I think that's important. So.
Awesome. Any other questions? Or are we good to wrap up?
Rule
Anything
number
else?
1 is find a way to get an appointment. Then you want enough appointments where you start to fail. And then if you get enough of those appointments, you're failing, bring the senior person, we bring it with you in the beginning. But 20 fails. I don't care how good you are, there's nobody in that panel, nobody in this building
I
that
failed.
hasn't failed. I have failed thousands. So I'm just gonna tell you that the more times you fail, you learn from your failure. And I always call people when I don't get them, say, just for future growth and from my own personal benefit of being a better agent, can you just share with me maybe what my shortcomings might have been to the person that you selected? And can you share with me who you selected? They tell me who they selected. Well, I know that was a beauty shot. Okay, a beauty contest is highest price, lowest commission. I don't do beauty contests. I don't do them. Take a senior agent with you, they'll help you protect that beauty contest back. But always call the homes and back and find out what was it that I can improve, what can I do that I can be better at that makes my, as being a professional, better. It's really important. If you don't call me, follow up. You're allowed to do that, but
Absolutely.
you're not soliciting them like that.
Like if they are not, the other thing is too, like if they're not on the market, like I call people every single week. To like either get a listing contract signed or they tell me that they've signed with someone else. Like, don't just go to the appointment and if you don't get the contract signed, don't just give up. Like, follow up. You have to continuously follow up.
Awesome. Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
How do you approach people who, like, I've been thinking a lot, like, we want to use that local agent, like, I've been burned by my own family, and recently, a lady, she was pleasantly surprised that you're both so laid back, not pushy, and hey, we're here when we need us. So she interviewed the both of us, but then at the end, she's like, I don't know who I'm gonna pick, what if I did one for the buy, one for the sell, and she's like, well, we need to use someone that's in, like, my idea was using someone in Hastings, and I said, well, we're all licensed real estate agents. State of Minnesota, whether you're in Blaine or Fairville, like it's the same, but I feel like it keeps coming up, like we need to use a local, and I think that was like way back, I feel like that was kind of the thing, but I would just say, would great agents utilize technology, is not as important as it used to be for all vehicles.
And I asked, why do you continue to local?
Yeah.
Why is it that you continue to go and then wait for their response? And I let him say, back in the day, people thought they needed a local agent who knew the community and where restaurants were and this and that. With technology, that's not as important. You need an agent who's aggressive with their marketing. Well, one of the things that they said was, well, what if we want to see something real quick? Well, then you let me know and I'm up. So I have you're, no, that's up to me.
Yeah.
I would also, in combination with you let me know and I come say, and if I'm unavailable, I also work with 60 agents, and if I can't make it, someone will.
Yeah.
That would be a great way to be more available than a single agent who's local.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I would also say,
I've used that.
you're benefiting from my team. I use this with every appointment I go on buyers or sellers. I say, I work with 60 agents. We meet every single week and talk about what we've seen over the last week. So I might only write 2 offers in a week, but my team has written 120 or we've received 120. And we're the most knowledgeable team in the state in terms of what's going on today in the market. And that is one of the best things that can bring to the table. Quick movement and shipping with the market. So yeah, they're local, great, but they probably don't work with a team of 60 agents. I know they don't.
And they may be online self.
Right.
You might also, show them just the Slack channel, the very front Slack channel, about how connected we all are. And just show them, we buyer needs, seller needs.
Right.
I mean, use some of those tools also.
Or like market stats on Mar and Far, bring the specific stats for their city, even if it's a buyer appointment, and be like, this is what's going on with listings, this is how we react to it as a buyer. I know your market.
Awesome.
Good idea.
Any other questions? Great. Thanks, panelists. This was awesome. I hope you guys all took some value away. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Tony.